Have you ever felt like there's a war going on inside you? Like there's all this inner conflict, and it can show up in your work. Maybe a part of you loves your job or a part of you hates your job. Maybe it can show up in your relationships where a part of you loves your partner, but then another part of you hates them. And you feel very confused because it's like there's all these different strong feelings inside, and you don't know what's true or you don't know how to find balance. We were raised in a culture where we were always taught to give more attention to the positive thoughts. And there's like that classic story of there's two wolves inside you and you have to feed the right one or whatever. And that's all good and true, but it has for most people made them think that they're supposed to suppress and repress and deny any negative feeling or thought that they have. And so what they end up finding themselves in situations where they're in a relationship and they have some inner resentment toward that person, but they don't know how to express it because they're not even letting themselves acknowledge that they feel some anger or even at work. If you have been working at your job and you love your job, but then over the years you've developed some resistance or resentments around parts of the job. Well, if you suppress and repress all those feelings, over time they grow and they fester, and you can start to feel very confused because you might be in a job that you love and you start to just hate it for some reason, or you might be in a relationship that is great with an amazing person, but you just feel all this resentment toward them, and you don't know what to do. Right? You're like constantly ashamed of feeling those feelings, or you're telling yourself that you logically shouldn't be feeling those feelings. And so over time it creates this inner split, this inner war where you've tried to deny those feelings, you've tried to push them away, you've tried to logically tell yourself why you shouldn't feel that way, and yet you do. There's a part of you that doesn't like your job. There's a part of you that is upset with your partner. There's a part of you that is feeling whatever they're feeling. And no matter how much we can tell ourselves, well, I don't actually think that way, or I don't, the majority of you may not, right? The majority of you may love your job and your partner and your life, and the majority of you may love yourself. But it's so often that we have these parts, these little parts that represent a minority view, but nonetheless are valid. They feel the way they feel for good reasons. Maybe there is something that happened in your relationship where you felt hurt and you never really expressed it. Maybe there is something about your job that's kind of unfair or overly stressful and it's hurting you and you've never really expressed it. Maybe there is some aspect of yourself that bothers you, some behavior that's not in alignment with your values, and you don't know how to express it. These feelings are so often the source of our depressions and our anxieties and our feelings of instability, because we're spending so much energy on pushing them down, keeping them at bay, pretending like they're not there, that it just gets in the way. And so what I'm advocating here is a wholeness, a return to wholeness, where you can look at all the different feelings, all the different parts, without judgment, without an idea of how you should feel or how you shouldn't feel, but just a simple acknowledgement of, okay, yes, 90% of me loves my job and my partner and myself and my family and the world and everything's great, blah, blah, blah. But 10% of me doesn't. 10% of me is upset with this person or upset at that person or thinks that this is stupid or thinks that that's stupid. And we've been taught to just really deny that whole side of us, to, oh, that's a dark thought, or that's toxic, or that's negative, or that's blah, blah, blah. And if I give it too much attention, it'll grow, or if I give it too much attention, I'll become a negative person, right? That's what we've been taught. But in reality, it's the It's the turning a blind eye. It's the suppression and repression of these aspects of ourselves that is causing them to fester and to grow and to feel just unseen. And so we can do this in so many different ways, not just with negative stuff, but with positive stuff too. Our shadow, all the unconscious things that we feel, is full of positive things too. Things that you believe, things that you like to do, things that are really cool about yourself. But you've, at some point in your life, it was labeled as bad or not acceptable or not good. And so even that was brushed under the rug. So I'm talking here about a new way of being, a new way of showing up in the world where you're not taking sides anymore. You're not just trying to prop up the positive parts of you and repress and suppress the negative parts of you, but seeing it as more of a community, seeing it as more of a like a council, and each of these parts has its opinion, has its perspective, has its point of view that is often valid, that is often trying to say something useful. And if any one part of you gains total control, that's not good, right? Let's say there's a part of you that wants to go and work really hard, and another part of you that's lazy and wants to rest. If this part gains total dominance, you will burn out and get sick. If this part gains total dominance, you won't do anything, and you'll just sort of, your life will go by, and you'll just be inside doing nothing all day. You need both. You need both. There's this constant battle of, well, I like this one, so I'm going to give this one power, and I'm going to prop that one up, and I'm going to deny this one. And it doesn't work. It doesn't work. You need both. Both are trying to accomplish something. Even in extreme situations where it's I hate my job, I love my job, I want to quit my job, I want to work harder. It's like, you might say, well, how can I give both attention? They're so diametrically opposed. Just take a moment to listen to the part that says, I hate this, I want to leave. What is it saying? What is it really saying? Is there a way to incorporate some of what it's saying in terms of maybe there's a situation at the work that you just can't stand anymore. Maybe there's a person that you can't stand to be around anymore. Maybe there's some truth in what they're saying. And if you could just hear it, no matter how uncomfortable it might be to hear it, no matter how you've been taught to deny that stuff and to always be positive, it can start to integrate that stuff. It can start to integrate that perspective. And by doing that, you, in a way, liberate it. And you come back to wholeness. You come back to having a community of perspectives that are working together, as opposed to this dictator-style rule where one perspective is the case. You are a collection of parts. You are a collection of different feelings and moods and perspectives, and they're meant to kind of pull each other in different directions so that you have balance. It may feel crazy sometimes. You may feel like, oh, I feel crazy. I have this thought that says go left and this thought that says right. Which one's true? Which one's correct? It's like, it's okay not to take sides immediately and just be in the community of it. If you have any questions about this, feel free to reach out. I'd love to talk to you and answer any questions that you have. But in the meantime, just be kind to yourself, my friend. Be kind to yourself and allow all the different parts to have their say.